Hi, Chris Duff over at Serious Land Capital, vacant land funding partner. I'm still reflecting on and going through some of the takeaways from the Mastermind event that I had at San Antonio earlier this week, and a lot of content from that and routes that we might potentially grow our business. But I was chatting with a couple of other land investors here locally. We're fortunate enough to play basketball on Sunday mornings and talk a little bit of business. And for those land investors, and then some of the other folks I was chatting with at the Mastermind event, what seems to be a growing trend, especially as people look to sort out their travel schedules and in-person attendance for various business growth type masterminds or just meetups in general, that the less is more approach and a smaller group settings with individuals who are oriented towards just being more peers within the industry itself in terms of a size of business and how they might run operations. Perhaps some folks who are further ahead, a couple folks that might be a bit behind. So then there's a couple of connecting points there, but those seem to be more of the trend that I'm seeing. That might not be as widely advertised, but a bit more self-selected in regard to how folks are just deciding to choose which events to go to. Because as I've kind of found out, and chatting with some other individuals who routinely go to various live events, I mean, there's the actual costs that might be associated in terms of flights and travel arrangements, or even just the cost of the membership for that particular event or the ticket, so to speak. But it's also the cost of your time being there, and how much time or how much value do you place on your actual time? Do you have an accurate estimate on what your hourly value could be? And not necessarily something that you might charge in a consulting arrangement, but how much value are you driving and creating within your own business of real focused work? And that's only one way to look at it. Sticking on that particular point, are you a $1,000 a day individual? Are you a $2,000 a day individual? If you are at $1,000 a day over the course of a year, that's roughly equates to 350-ish $1,000 of value creation for a particular year, just using a kind of standard work week, actually a full 7-day work week here. And then you can just do the math going beyond that number. Or are you $100 a day person, or 200, what have you? Like, you have to be kind of honest with yourself in regard to, okay, what's the size of my business in a daily perspective, and looking at our previous growth rate, and split across all the various team members that you might have, and where you might be the actual leader on the team, so you can attribute a greater proportion of value created by your own self. Really try to reverse engineer and figure out, okay, when I have a full day to really work both within and potentially on the business, what is that true value? And so now I have to, or I've tried to start incorporating that into any of these events that I might go to. So, the sticker price might be, $2,000, $3,000, what have you, plus flights, accommodation. But then you have to add in that true daily value of yourself being removed from the actual business. Now you can say, oh, well, it kind of confounds a bit where, maybe you're driving a whole bunch of possible future value by attending these events. Of course, so that's always going to be the goal, is to take you, steps and steps beyond that. But if you don't actually take real action, or you opted into a group or event that ended up not being as valuable as you might have thought, or, go to so many that returns start to diminish, then you really have to be honest with yourself. Okay, how much is this truly costing me beyond just what we're swiping the credit card for? So that's just another consideration from a business perspective. Of course, the time perspective for those of us that have spouses or partners, kids, families back home, what value do you place on that for various weekends that might be missed, or putting extra pressure on your spouse or partner for caring for the kids while you're away, for instance, even just your residents or pets, what have you. All those are going to be internal costs that have to be considered too, that are harder to put a price tag on, of course, but are nevertheless another way to consider how strongly you need to be reviewing the possible return on investment into going to these various live events. So that to me is the biggest takeaway here. I think a lot of people are trying to be more strategic and selective based on all the anecdotal data that I've seen, both smaller operators as well as larger ones, particularly the higher quality in terms of business and size of operation. I'm trying to be, again, less is more, but that's also relevant to the state of the economy. If things are, just booming all over, everybody's making great money, sure, yeah, sign up whatever event, doesn't matter. But to me, I think that's another reading into this, and it's just continued discussion points, is I think a lot of people's businesses are struggling there, regardless of the public face they might be showing. We're in a privileged position to be extremely well connected within the land industry. I don't think it's the easiest times at the moment, and I have inside knowledge to a lot of folks' businesses, and you can just kind of look at the actual readout here. Are people showing up to these live events? Are they doing anything to further their business outside of just, trying to stay alive and, focus on their core business outside of, trying to grow, by going to, potentially some of these live events. And so I think that's another factor that has to be considered for, potentially diminished attendance at, some of these live events, or trying to do things that are a little bit more local or smaller. Those are just some thoughts on what we're seeing in the industry nowadays, how we're thinking about structuring our focus over the coming year and beyond, and how selective we are. So again, as far as larger events where half the seats are already taken up, again, I'm only going to that Dave Denniston on conference in Minneapolis in early August. I know I've mentioned before, but if you wanted to attend, you can go ahead and use my last name, DUFF, all lowercase, for $200 off your ticket. Just Google to find the event page there. Beyond that, seriousland.capital for any deals that you would like to be funded. Land Daily Diligence Facebook group to have any deals that you would like reviewed, zero cost. And of course, Land Pricer for the most simple and accurate way to price land. Again, that MVP should be done by Wednesday of next week. Very excited for that. A lot more coming. Take care, everybody.